Hey, David.
Hi, Karen.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm going to mute for a second. I'm still got a little feedback going on here.
Yeah, no problem.
We're all live again. Watch what you say and do to me.
How's it going, my friend?
Great. I do believe.
Good. I've used so much hand sanitizer that the ends of my fingers have split. And Jesus, it's tough to keep them healed up.
Everything feels. Get some bag balm or whatever it is.
Oh, I got some. We got this this Gold Bond healing cream. That stuff works pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah. I've also got some cream at my desk that my wife found me, healing hands. But it's for tough hands, for in a shop, that type of thing. That stuff works pretty good, but it doesn't keep it, because if you put that on, then an hour later UPS comes and I take delivery of between 10 and 25 packages every day. After that, and after I process all of that, I wash my hands and put hand sanitizer on it. Maybe it's just too much, but man, I'll tell you, I'm nothing but a cracked piece of skin. That's all I am, David.
How about some latex gloves or something?
Well, I wear latex gloves in the shop, and I was wearing them at my desk, but geez, you can only wear those things so much. I can't use a computer with them, and I don't know. I'm a hot mess, David. I'm just a hot mess.
Well, you've got fragile hands now, unlike, when you used to crank a wrench.
Oh, I don't know how funny that is, but thanks a lot.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, man. Anyway, how's the road situation in the town of Lincolnville? We getting any better?
Yeah, if we better is a relative term, but we've certainly put a fair amount of material out, done a fair amount of work, and the weather's helping,
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have some freezing nights and days where the wind's blowing, but this dry air is helping. But
Now you say a fair amount of material. We just putting out some gravel that we had, or are we using stone, or what are we using?
We're using gravel that we had over here in the stockpile.
Yeah.
That broke through a couple of 3 or 4 feet of frost to get to the stuff that wasn't frosty. We had some trucked in as well to replenish the stockpile in case we went, south again here. But
yeah, I think we're on a pretty good path. Geez, I'm gonna have to get something from my phone here. Hold on just a minute. Don't run off,
yeah,
Dave.
where would I go?
I don't know. Good God. All right. Yeah, phone's dead.
Perfect.
Well, there was a charger at my wife's desk here, and I see the charger is here, but no cord. I put in got her some new UPS, uninterrupted power supplies, because we had a couple of times there where we had a blip in power, and I was concerned that she's losing stuff. So we sell these at work. They're made by Trip Light. Got a battery in them. They work pretty good. So I got a couple of those for her.
Yeah, we have something similar here. I mean, it is just that lag if the power goes off before the generator kicks on. And if you're in the throes of something, boy, it's just,
Yeah.
boy,
Well, at work, we've got a UPS setup for our central station, which has got 35 batteries in it.
mhm.
And that takes care of our mission critical stuff. But at everybody's desk, we also have one, because, geez, it's just so hard if we can't get stuff, saved before
I know. You
something happens. And
just don't know when it's coming.
no, you don't. So, and that has happened a couple of times here for Heidi. So I reconfigured all that the other night, and I'm going to move the routers upstairs here. I'm going to put that in the middle of the house, up in, where the cellar stairs are, on the top of that, and try to get my Wi-Fi signal a little bit better. These little extenders, they're good for places that are small.
Yeah.
But I need to get this straightened out. So.
Well, you'll have it pretty well straightened out. Everything except that. Is that hat rack in the background? Oh, no, that's not a hat rack, is it?
I can't say what I want to right now.
No, the FCC would come along and shut us down.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I'm not a hat rack type of guy.
Got to draw the line somewhere, Karen. Got to draw the line somewhere.
That argument is still strong. I got to be real honest with you. I thought that would back off and I'd get what I want, and I'd put that hat rack up. But wow, that is still strong.
Why don't you just break down and get what you want and put it up?
She doesn't want to spend that type of money on the hooks to match the other hooks. I'm the type of guy that the hooks need to match.
When's her birthday?
Oh, September. Oh.
You give me the money now for the hooks.
I'm going to hold tight on this one, because I had a feeling this may work out for me. I don't know.
You're being recorded, so be careful what you say.
She knows that I'm not going to give up. Oh my God.
Couldn't you compromise and use the piece of wood she got and the hooks that you're going to get?
If I have to compromise, that means I lost, David. There's not a lot of checkered flags in my future. So
Okay,
You got to keep it interesting.
okay,
Okay.
say so.
I don't know. Oh God. They say to pick and choose your battles, but I don't know about this one.
Nope, I see Mike's over here as an attendee. I'm gonna make him a panelist.
Yeah, bring him over.
I was gonna say, we're closing in. Well, I guess we still have 10 minutes, but. Please, not someone uh, faking their way in as Mike,
Yeah.
And it's
an
me.
imposter.
There
It's
it
it.
is.
No,
There
it's
it
him.
is.
It's me. Thanks for looking out for me, Dave. Hey, I could, yeah, this is twice. Your emails must be going into a black hole junk folder someplace. I can never find them.
Damn.
Not the packet, Zoom link emails, that is.
Yeah, we've had that report from a couple of committee members. Just there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of logic to it. Like, let's say one of the planning board members doesn't get it, but everybody else does.
Yeah, well, I just go to the town website, click on that link, and I figure you'll see me or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's the not to talk shop. Well, I guess this is town stuff. Planning board's having a workshop on Wednesday with the town attorney, just to get some better understanding of the ordinances and all.
Uh-huh.
And as a fail-safe, not only did I send the Zoom link, but then I sent an email with the invitation, pasted in the email, so that, if the Zoom link happens to go in junk mail, maybe they'll get the other one, or if it never arrived.
Yeah, I've gotten everything else from you. I mean, I got this, a few minutes ago. You sent that one, that Zoom link for the Rockland board.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's all right. We're only a short click away, right? Yeah.
It's technology is great when it works the way you want it to.
Yeah. So, Kern, are you getting your boat ready?
Me and the boy got that out the other day, and as a matter of fact,
Excellent, great.
yeah, we got a different motor for it this year. Hopefully, be a little bit more dependable. And now we're looking around on Craigslist and places like that for a couple of seats. Nothing
Okay.
big, but just so we don't have to sit on the aluminum.
Yeah.
The aluminum piece that goes across there. But he's pretty excited. We did quite well ice fishing this year, and we've got some areas that we really want to target this summer. So should be good. Should be good.
Well, getting out on the water, you can't beat it,
No, you can't. You can't.
No, I didn't get out all last summer on my little kayak, and I don't know if I'll fit in it anymore, but it'll be a tighter squeeze.
Well, son's got a kayak as well, and he would just as soon be right in that.
Oh, they're fun boats. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
he
like
just
them.
absolutely loves it. So it was a good investment for him.
Yeah. Plus, it fits my budget, my pace.
Oh, yeah.
Lives on top of my car, and yeah.
I get it.
The only trouble is they're getting heavier and heavier every year. It's like.
So here's the other thing: is he's got his license recently, so he's mobile. He's got himself a little pickup truck. So I got to be careful because I don't want him to say to me, "I don't need you to go, Dad." I really want to go, so I'm going to try to help out as much as I can. But he's completely mobile now.
It's good, yeah. So have you ever been paddling in there with him?
Oh yeah,
the kayak. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are fun boats. There's something that feels good about having your center of gravity so low to the water. That's just a good feeling,
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys read about that trailer fire over in Hope?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Brush fire, and it sounded like they were up Beach Hill far enough where it's tough to get to. I mean, it made, yeah.
Plus they had a significant amount of stuff in the driveway, so it was tough for fire departments to get in and actually attack the fire.
Mhm. Yeah.
Over by there this morning, it just burned everything right to the ground. Terrible.
Nobody's hurt though, right?
No, nobody's hurt.
Yeah.
Mike, do we know how much wood was actually used out of the Waldo County woodshed?
Yeah,
Lincoln
I
Farm?
actually have those numbers in front of me. Yeah.
Perfect. That's good. I don't want to steal your thunder for the.
Oh, that's fine.
I just want to, just wondering if we've got that type of information. That's good.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good at just accounting, keeping track of it all.
That's good.
And yeah, no, it also, I mean, speaking of accounting, just last week, a couple weeks earlier in the month, there's a big New York Times article, front page of the whatever section, about wood banks in Maine.
Yeah.
And they were featured. And so Oregon, the guys who do bars and chains and logging equipment, okay, which are out, they read about it, hey lately, and they ended up contacting them, Woodshed, and donated a 30-ton chipper, a splitter, 30-ton splitter, and a bunch of safety gear.
Wow.
Yeah. No, oh yeah. Yeah. I was using it Saturday. The splitter is just amazing. It doesn't stop at anything.
Wow.
Brand new shiny.
Wow, that is great.
Yeah, it is.
That is great. Hey, Laidley.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hi there.
How are you?
Well, thanks.
Time change. We can actually see things.
No, I don't mean to pry lately, but this is the first time by Zoom I've been able to peer into your house. It's always in the dark. Yeah.
I know. Well, we're window rich and
Yeah.
lighting poor.
Windows are wonderful, aren't they? Yeah, I know.
They are. They are. They're good to keep you up with the sun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Our we've got our in our bedroom. Our bed. We're facing due east out of a big slider, and so there's just nothing but glass between us and the sun. It's nice.
Yeah, it's so great. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Laidley, how are you?
Josh.
Good.
Good. Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
Good.
So how handy is this, Josh? You get to just leave your skis by the door or in the corner. Nice.
Sorry, I'm not trying to rub it in, I promise.
That's all right. That's all right. It's
Those aren't mine anyways. My fiance.
Where are you this week, Josh?
Salt Lake City.
Oh, hi.
But coming back soon.
Good place to go skiing and adventuring, that's for sure.
Yeah. I thought I was getting pretty good, and then Laura showed me a video of myself. It's embarrassing.
Hello.
Hello, George.
Wow.
Hi,
Welcome, Jordan. And it is 6 p.m. So I don't know where David is. Hopefully there he is. So let's get rolling.
Okay.
Just a reminder, well, it is the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is March 22nd, 2021. Happy spring, everybody. We made it. And we are still operating under the state of emergency as declared by the governor. And we are therefore subject to the Maine Freedom of Access Act. We are conducting this meeting publicly through video, YouTube, streaming, and we encourage anyone to participate through telephonic or any other electronic means that they have available to them. If anyone needs assistance or help participating, please feel free to reach out to any of us or the town office for assistance. All actions taken by the board will be done by roll call, including adjournment. And we do encourage the public to participate where appropriate via the chat feature. Just wait to be acknowledged by myself or the town administrator. And we will get to you promptly. I guarantee you someone will notice. So before we get going, Kern, would you care to read the quote of the evening?
I would love to. He that gives should never remember. He that receives should never forget. The Talmud.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I would like to open the virtual podium to anyone who wishes to participate in the Citizens Forum for any non-agenda items. David, do we have anybody?
I don't see any hands up. I see a number of people that are here for other items down on the agenda, and we received nothing via email by 3 p.m.
Okay.
beyond what's already in your packet, I should say.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Not seeing anyone jumping up and down to participate for non-agenda items. Let's move along to the administrator's report.
I don't think I have anything beyond the agenda tonight. Wow. Oh, yes, of course I do. What am I talking about? Nomination papers are available here at the town office for positions on the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, budget committee, and the 5-town CSD board. They're due back by April 9th, 4:30 in the afternoon. And for those of you that are late with your dog licenses, you've got a little bit of a reprieve, but please get in and do those. That's it. Besides the agenda.
Perfect. If you forget anything, just jump in if it comes to mind. Let's move along to meetings and announcements.
All meetings are remote unless announced otherwise, and there are a couple of additions to this list. The first is the Budget Committee meets Tuesday, March 23rd, 6 p.m. Lakes and Ponds Committee meets Tuesday, March 23rd, 7 p.m. Planning Board has a workshop on Wednesday, March 24th, 4 p.m. Can't even read my own notes. Oh, the clean energy discussion sponsored by the city of Rockland for regional elected officials will be on Tuesday, March 30th, 6 p.m. You should have a link either in your email or on its way to your email. Recreation Committee, Planning Board meets in regular session on Wednesday, March 31st, 7 p.m. Recreation Commission is scheduled to meet Thursday, April 1st, 5:30. School Committee scheduled to meet Monday, April 5th, 6 p.m. And the Board of Selectmen meets next in regular session on Monday, April 12th, 6 p.m.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's move along to any upcoming community events anyone might wish to share. Not seeing anyone jumping up and down there. Let's move along to the meeting minutes from March 8th.
I move that the board approve the March 8th, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late. I saw your lips move, Josh, but I didn't hear you.
I forgot I was muted, so.
And then
Doesn't
Mike
count.
seconded it. So we're well seconded. I'll give it to you, Josh, because I saw you first. Seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. Thank you all very much. And we have Mr. Jason Peasley here who wishes to address the board. And while David brings him over
I'm working on it. On its way.
virtually. And Jason, you're over on our side, so if you want to either unmute, you can use video if you wish or have the capability, or you can just address the board auditorily, but you have the floor.
Well, I just happen to be doing the footwork. It's actually a group effort from everybody on the road. I had the time to go around and speak with everybody and get everyone's signatures. The concern, obviously, as you know, with Calderwood Lane and many other dirt roads in Lincolnville, is the unpassable conditions that we've experienced over about a week and a half time frame. We've only owned the business for 1 year, 55 Calderwood Lane. However, we've been using the facility previously for many years to keep our dogs there, and each year it's gotten progressively worse and worse to the point where no vehicle of any type, even a four-wheel drive, could make it up through it at certain times. There's 7 residents on the road and 3 businesses, with our business having multiple leasers and renters as well. So it's becoming a pretty significant financial impact for some of these people, including the lady that rents from us on a daily basis for doggy daycare. The one Friday alone, she had to close. Jane had 18 dogs scheduled for that day. The next day there was a full agility class that had to be canceled, and it's happened several times. So that's why we started approaching the neighbors. I know a few people up the road have had the same issue. The Twin Brook stretchers have been unable to get some deliveries in reference to their wood. I know Dan at the top of the road had to wait at the bottom for over an hour for parts for planes. Not to include that not a single fire truck, ambulance, or even police car could get anywhere up that road. It all started within the first 15 feet this year, which it hadn't in the past. It was up much further. This year it was at the very beginning. So that's the concerns we have. I understand there's, I think Dave said 8 miles of dirt roads in Lincolnville. From doing some research, it looks like this road has the most significant amount of businesses on it as well as residents. So there's other impacts than just residential. So we sent a letter. I believe, Dave, did you get that out? Okay, yes. Hold on. There we go.
Oh, hi.
So Dave got a letter. I missed one person. I wasn't able to get in touch with Chris from the Twin Brook stretcher in order to get his signature. I don't know if he was able to log in. There's also several emails I have in front of me that I believe were sent to Dave from people that are leasing and renting from us that have had to cancel this year. And I believe there's other people from the road that may be logged in as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, but I'm the first one, I guess so.
Okay. Questions from the board for Jason? Yeah, Kern.
I do have a couple of questions. So do we know, obviously, probably in the last 2 to 5 years, probably the traffic up that road has probably quadrupled because of what's going on up there. I know probably nobody's done a traffic survey, and that's good. We want everybody we can through this town, and we want to do as much as we can through the town. But are there deliveries in trucks bigger than a pickup truck up there? Because I was also going to direct a question to David. Is that road posted being a dirt road?
I believe the road is posted, yes.
Okay, so do we know if there's been like triaxle trucks up there or a big box trucks and things of that nature, something outside of a pickup that might necessarily damage the road worse than a pickup truck or a car? Just a question. I'm not looking to point a finger at anybody. It's just a question. It gonna actually help us going forward with how we repair the road.
I know FedEx and UPS are up there frequently for not only businesses, but residential. So I've seen the bigger box trucks up there from that standpoint.
Yeah,
Okay.
we definitely, just anecdotally, we haven't been monitoring traffic going up and down Calderwood Lane, but I think it's pretty basic for everybody to understand that there are more deliveries on these roads than there ever have been in the past. And a lot of that is due to the pandemic, but certainly there's more activity on all these roads as development patterns change.
I know if Terry just piped up, something just popped up on my screen. I don't know if you can ask to speak to Terry. They can answer. I guess they get quite a few deliveries daily. I don't know the size of the trucks, but she just made a comment. So I don't know if you can get her on here. So maybe.
Yeah, I think Jason, how we'll handle it is, so that it doesn't kind of become a free for all. And
Okay.
so we don't end up repeating the same points over and over and over again. That once the board has exhausted its conversation with you, if there's anyone else, and Terry, I do see that you have your hand up in your chat saying that you have daily deliveries, but that we'll try to keep it sequential like that in order to.
Okay. And I just want to point out from our business standpoint, Jane is there Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, pretty much 365 days a year. I think she takes a whole week off out of the whole year. So she has a substantial amount of business people are reaching out more and more daily. We've really increased the agility classes, the training. So I know from I guess the whole picture of our business have significantly probably doubled, if not tripled, the traffic that's coming up there. So that's the big reason for us wanting to get this taken care of.
Other questions from the board for Jason or Kern? Are you still?
I'm all set. Thank you, Jason, for reaching out. And
Can my wife wants to speak. She's sitting next to me.
I think
let's see if the board has any more questions for you,
okay.
Jason, before we move on. Josh, Mike, you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, I said I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, any questions?
Yeah. Jason, I was just wondering, how many days this spring would you say has the road been almost impassable?
Total, it was
probably 5.
There was 5 days of completely unpassable.
Or very difficult.
Or
Jane
unless you
had
had
to meet people at the end of the road.
Unless you had a big 4-wheel drive truck, that was the only way. But then you're just causing significant damage.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Jason?
Well, I just was curious how the road was looking today, because I mean we're heading into a significant thaw, with tomorrow being warm as well, and I was just curious what it's looking like right now.
I wasn't there today. It was checked yesterday, but I know Todd and his crew have put a significant amount of time and effort and material back into it to try to harden it up. It was still pretty soft yesterday. I know I was making ruts in the truck. Not significant, but I was making ruts yesterday. But again, Todd added a pretty substantial amount of material.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. You said your wife wished to address the board.
Yes, thank you. So I think my biggest concern outside of obviously the immediate of fire and medical is that when we looked into buying the building, one of the things that we were told was that the road has been a problem for renters. And since then, we have been told several times, and I know you'll see some of this in some of the letters that people wrote, but that they are hesitant to rent from us because of the road conditions. So they will put together agility trials or AKC events, and they're weekend long and they're months in advance. And so what I've heard from multiple people as I've been trying to get business in, we bought at the end of January 2020, which couldn't have been any worse timing. And while the business has picked up, it's picked up because there haven't been classes there the last couple of years because the previous owner had moved. We still are hearing, as I'm trying to get business, that people are hesitant to rent from us because of events being canceled in the past years because of the road conditions. So that is very concerning, obviously, as a business owner, and getting these bigger weekend long groups in, getting groups in that are going to rent at night, because again, by the end of the day, the road's mushy. It's questionable in the spring and fall whether they can get through. So I wanted to make sure that that was out there too. It's not just recent, it's we're having problems getting business to come into Lincolnville because people are hesitant because of their experiences years ago with this road.
Kern, yeah.
Hey, Penny. So forgive me if I ask just ridiculous questions, but what is the scope of the business? Is it events that you're holding or is it training dogs?
So it's both. There's dog training classes, and then we have an inside facility, which is very unique. There's only a few of them in the state, where we have inside open space and outside fenced in areas for these dog agility and AKC trials, or events. So there's various events that AKC, these big clubs, these big kennel clubs use, as well as agility clubs. And they'll bring in people all throughout the day in time trials, for example. And it's a full weekend event. And they're hosted by kennel clubs. And those are, events that we need from an income perspective. So you might have those, I say on the weekend, just because the bigger ones are over the weekend, but certainly they have them at night, in addition to training classes as well. I hope that helps. Unless you're in there, I had no idea about all these things until we bought the business, but it's big business for sure, if
So
you can get it.
thank you. Is that something you expanded to once you got the business, or it was there and you knew it?
No, it was there, and the previous owner, Sumac, she ran a lot of these things. We're not dog trainers. We rent the property, we rent the business, if you will. We're not holding these events or running these events, but she did, and she brought these big kennel clubs in and agility clubs in, and obviously a lot of different training classes in on the weekends and at nights and at night. But again, there's hesitancy because of things being canceled in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question from board members for Jason or Penny before we open up the conversation to other folks that may want to? All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Jason, for taking the initiative.
Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Absolutely. So Terry had her hand up. Terry, do you wish to come over and address the board directly?
Okay.
Great. While David moves you over. And you are over on our side, Terry, so whenever you want to unmute yourself, you have the floor.
Oh my.
I don't think that's working.
Yeah, I think we're having some issues hearing you. There you are.
Ooh,
And your audio isn't working.
See you.
I can't hear you.
I wish I had some musical talent so I could provide a musical interlude, but I have none. Sorry.
So Terry, are you We have no video, but we have audio. Can we hear you?
I guess not.
Perhaps, David, if you want to send her back to attendees for the moment, and we'll let you troubleshoot a little bit, Terry. Maybe if you log out and log back in, that may work. We do have another attendee who has their hand up, Vanessa. And I just would ask to anyone who wishes to address the board, let's just make sure that we're not repeating ourselves over and over again. So if you have a new point to make, that would be great. And so, do you see Vanessa, David? Yeah, there you go. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you so much for letting us speak about this road. It's hard not to echo what Jason's already said so far. It's just kind of been the ongoing issue. I just want to add to the point that not that their businesses or any business on this road doesn't matter, but we've lived here for 9-10 years, and it has been a consistent issue with the road. My biggest concern is the amount of money that gets put into this road every time they come and they dump the gravel, the tractors are out. And I'm also concerned of people getting stuck. And, you know, our lovely Dennis tries to go haul him out with his four-wheeler, and then he gets stuck and the road gets more demolished. It's just becoming an ongoing issue. And I love seeing data and understanding why it gets the way it is. I brought this up when the school was being proposed on our road, that it was very important for us to have the information, or the town to have the information of how many vehicles are actually coming up and down this road. So that's my biggest thing, is I'd love to see and hear what the town of Lincolnville is proposing, where this road is a little bit more unique than some of the other dirt roads.
Okay, great. Any questions for Vanessa from the board? No one's jumping up and down. We really appreciate you jumping on here and offering your perspective, for sure. And
Thank you.
Since there's no questions from the board for Vanessa, shall we try bringing Terry back?
Sure, yeah.
Try it.
All right, Terry, we're gonna, is she there? I don't know if I see her in the participants anymore.
Looks like she has cut herself off, or maybe she's logged off and coming back. I don't know. I don't see her on the attendee list any longer.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the attendees that wish to address the board? If so, you can raise your hand. There's a little virtual hand raise option. Maybe give Terry some time to log back in.
Jason and Penny have their hand raised again.
Okay. All right, Jason, you're muted. So whenever you have the floor, so you can unmute yourself.
Right. I have Terry on my phone on speaker. Something's going on. Okay. So she's on speaker. I'm just going to let her talk. Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, great.
Okay. Well, I Zoom all the time and never have a problem except for the town. So my audio is on, all that's working. But so the thing is, my husband has a business here building airplanes. So we have daily deliveries for parts. In addition to, sometimes we have tractor trailers that come up or try to come up this road. So when the road conditions aren't, are dry, that's not an issue. But in the shoulder seasons, then we're not able to have deliveries made. So that's one of the main things. The other thing, obviously, with living on a dirt road is the dust conditions and stuff. But those we don't have the traffic firehouse for that. But I just wanted to add that we definitely, it's a daily impact for us here at this location.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Jason, for the hack. It's brilliant. This is a brilliant workaround. And sorry for your difficulty participating, Terry, but I'm glad we found a way. Does the board have any questions for Terry? I don't see anyone furiously waving their hands, Terry, but thank you so much for jumping on here and offering your experience.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jason.
No problem. Thank you, guys. I'll stay on mute now.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jason. All right. Are there any other attendees that wish to address the board on this issue? All right. Well, at this point, I guess I'll open it back up to the board for any follow-up thoughts or questions or comments. Yeah, Kern.
Yeah, like it said in our packet, I don't want to downplay what's going on over on Calderwood Road, but we certainly have more than one road in town that hasn't fared very well due to a number of reasons this year, and it's atypical of every year with a dirt road. I didn't realize there were so many businesses up that road. I did know that there were residents up that road, but I guess I need to take a ride all the way out there, trying to keep abreast of everything that's going on in the town, but things do get away from you.
Once the road dries up a little bit.
I like the mud, so yeah, but I don't want to do any damage. So, yeah, I sympathize with him, and obviously something needs to be done, and we're going to have to get together and, probably look at all of our roads, in my opinion. All of our dirt roads, and see what our next step is and see what the town wants to do. Obviously this isn't just okay, we do one road. This is a decision for the town. So we got our work cut out for us. Yeah.
Well, that's a very good point. And I live on Tanglewood Road. And so, I saw I think it was 10 triaxle trailer loads of gravel that got dumped, and all the work that went in to the section of Tanglewood Road that tends to degrade this time of year. And we get an awful lot of people from all over the place, all over New England, blasting down to the end of my road to go hiking. So we get quite a lot of traffic. And, and I think, Kern, to your point, the 7.5, 8 miles of gravel road that we're responsible for maintaining. And Vanessa, you mentioned that you like data, and I like data too. And I guess I have the benefit of having been on the board for such a long time that I've watched the arc of our road maintenance program, and I really have to hand it to our road commissioner and our town administrator for establishing a care and maintenance program that really kind of keeps us at the very least on par and trying to be proactive with roads. And the problem child in our town are the gravel roads, and they are expensive to maintain, and they are also very expensive to pave. We would be looking at, as a starting price, probably $155,000 per mile. And that's just for the paving. That doesn't include the ditching, the road bed improvement, tree clearing, etc. All you have to do is go to our annual budget and look at the debt service that we have. And that was the last time the town undertook a major overhaul of a couple of our roads in town. And, it's a loan that we are all collectively paying on. It's a 15-year loan. plus interest. So I think, Kern, to your point, I think every one of us on the board would like to see this fixed. And the real question is what's our plan and how are we going to afford it? And so I would just like to hear thoughts from the board on at an upcoming agenda to take a real holistic system-wide approach of what we're looking for dollars here in terms of fixing the issues. Because it's conversations like this that help us kind of shuffle our deck of cards of priorities. And, we have to keep all of the other balls rolling. And we've just approved the fiscal year 2022 budget. And so we need to have a serious conversation to, establish what our goals and priorities are and how we're going to afford them, and then how we're going to ask all of the people of Lincolnville to pay for them. So I'd just like to kind of hear a consensus from the board that that's something that we want to add to our list of priorities to start working through.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, Vern, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be twofold. There's got to be and on a fair amount of our dirt roads, there's got to be a temporary fix to get us through, but we've got to have these roads on a list and know when we're going to be doing this. So
yep,
it's kind of a twofold situation.
Sure. Yeah. Josh.
David, could you just from a 40,000 foot view, just explain for the benefit of people watching Lincolnville's what the approach has been to chipping away at the list of dirt roads and sort of how the roads get put into priority?
Sure. Or I'll give you the last 15 years or so of quick 40,000 foot view. Townwide, we have approximately, I don't have the paved roads list in front of me, but in round numbers, we have about 35 miles of road that the town is responsible for upkeep and maintenance of town roads. Plus, we do some additional roads in the winter that we don't have what's called summer maintenance. Basically, we don't have to pave them or resurface. Those are the state roads, 52, 173, 235. Of the roads that we have in town, of the roughly 35 miles, we have about 7.5 miles of gravel road now, and the remainder are paved. And let's see, turning back the hands of time to 2005-ish, we had probably an additional, I think when I arrived, we had about 11 to 12 miles of gravel roads. A number of roads were in the condition or worse condition than what Calderwood Lane currently experiences. Those were Broadus Road, Heather Hill Road, Tucker Brook Road, and Thurlow Road. Those roads in 2000, I believe it was 2007 town meeting authorized the town to go out and borrow money to fix those roads, which we did. In 2008, the town borrowed $850,000 to redo Broadus, Heather Hill, and Thurlow. And we didn't have enough money left to do the Tucker Brook Road section between Maslin and Greenacre. But we did the other three roads, Thurlow being from where the pavement ended then through where the road stopped. And Broadus Road was the entire length, and Heather Hill was the entire length of what was required, what the town maintains there. We had a big project, put those out to bid, reconstructed those roads. The following year, we, instead of doing a lot of the other town work, We took what was remaining in the road bond money and a lot of the town road money and redid Tucker Brook Road. Tucker Brook Road from Maslin to Green Acre was as bad a road. Nobody would even call it a road in the month typically then of April. It was just impassable. Literally had to park on the ends and walk your way in if you slugged through it. My understanding is way back in the day, that stretch of Tucker Brook Road didn't even have any houses on it. And so it was way down on the priority list. But over time, that had filled in with some homes in there to the point where it was literally just a soup hole from one side to the other. Nobody could get through. So we did those roads a couple of years ago. That took a lot of money. As Ladley said, we're still paying for that. The town borrowed again $850,000. We're paying that back somewhere in the tune of $60,000 a year. Since that time, that took a big chunk of money. We also were faced with the LD1 property tax cap measure, which has impacted either the ability or the willingness to ask for money to fix additional roads. We've been setting aside some money annually into a road improvements fund the last couple of years. We use that money for matching monies to redo the large culvert under Slab City Road here a number of years ago, probably what, 5 or 6 years ago now. And we've been setting some monies aside for some other large culvert projects on Townhouse Road. And where's the other one that escapes me at the moment? I can't remember where it is. Sorry. On Maslin Road. It's a big pipe deep down in the road. Looking to primarily keep our good roads good and fix or more permanently repair a bad road. If you look at how a road deteriorates, it goes relatively slowly for the first couple of years, and then the curve accelerates, or the deterioration curve accelerates. And the idea is to catch it before it drops off and bring it back up to a good road standard while you're trying to catch up with some of these other more challenging roads. And we've been pretty good at that. And the road commissioner and the previous town administrator had developed a plan for resurfacing roads that we pretty well stick with today and reevaluate on an annual basis. And then, like I said, the last 15 years, we've knocked off probably 4 miles of gravel road. That doesn't do much for anybody that lives on the 7.5 miles of gravel road we have left, besides move them a little bit closer to the top of the list. We've also self-funded versus borrowing in the last couple of years, or the last 5 years or so. Portion of Proctor Road that was gravel, the top end of that. Portion of the Maslin Road from what I would call the 90-degree turn where Old Belmont Road takes off up to the top of the hill. And a large or long section of North Cobbtown Road was what we did 2 summers ago, I believe. It wasn't last summer, so it had to be 2 summers ago. And, I think the road commissioner currently would support any amount of money that the townspeople wanted to put at this to more permanently fix these roads. The key is always there's no sense in shaping up and paving what's there on some of these roads now, because the drainage has to be good and the base has to be good, or you're just throwing good money out the window because it'll just deteriorate quickly. So I don't know if that answered any or all of your questions, Josh, but that's kind of where we've been, and we're still working towards it. It's just a matter of priorities and money.
Thank
Great
you.
question.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Josh, for asking that.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions from the board right now? And just so folks know, just doing the sort of back of the napkin math on what the repairs over the last weekend cost is, it was about $1,500 per road if you wanted to divide it up equally amongst all of the gravel roads that received attention. So that's sort of what we're working with, just in case that answers anyone's curiosity about how much it costs to do that. A little bit of, I don't know, Band-Aid. I don't know what you'd call it, but okay. So we'll look to a future agenda to really clarify what our goals and priorities are, and come up with a funding plan and a timeline. And we really appreciate everyone who has brought to our attention the evolved character of Calderwood Road. It's helpful.
Yeah.
Always helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do want to make sure that if there's anybody else tuning in from any of the other, dozen plus gravel roads we have up there, we do know you exist. The road commissioner obviously prioritizes repairs, and our goal is to get everybody in and out. Sometimes it's never as quick as I think as people would like to see. Sometimes the repairs, if you're not careful, can do more harm when you're doing the repair than good. But we're coming, and feel free to call us and give it to us. We're here to get you in and out. We don't want anybody to be without public safety services, for sure, let alone getting in and out to work and school and elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you to all the residents of Calderwood who got involved. It's nice to see some attendees and viewers and participants. It gets kind of lonely in here sometimes. All right, if there's nothing else more on that for tonight, to be continued, we have a representative from the Lincolnville Sewer District here to talk about additional funds to the Community Development Block Grant, and perhaps give us an update on other things. And Paul, you are on our side, so if you want to unmute yourself and connect the video, or just unmute yourself, you have the floor.
I see it. Okay, here I am. I'm a little bit in the dark. Sorry. The community development has graciously offered us some funding for people who are low income to tie into the sewer district. And what we're asking for is the board to allow David to accept the money. And we initially thought it was going to be about $10,000. It was probably going to be a little bit more because we've got some bids that have come in to let us know how much the digging is going to be. And so I'm requesting that whatever money comes in from community development, that David be allowed to receive this and pass it on to the sewer district. That's it. That's all I got.
Questions for Paul?
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, the only question I have is, are there any strings attached to this?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
you know, well, what are the strings, Dave?
Are there any kinds of strings that is how the money has to be used? It puts the town on the hook because blank, 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 that type of thing.
I don't mean to jump on Paul, but when we signed the original grant agreement of which this is an amendment, or what's being proposed is an amendment to, there
Right.
is a whole plethora of strings and certifications and more paper than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah,
The-
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, David. Yeah, I should have
No, that's okay.
rephrased that.
The
Are there any
amendment does
strings that we
not
have to
add
worry about?
the amendment does not add additional beyond what the district and the town is already doing.
Okay,
It's just, it gives us, or it gives the district more money to help accomplish their mission.
Yeah.
And it isn't the amendment doesn't add a particularly large administrative burden to the town, but it's just a few more things that we have to make sure that we do, and it goes a little bit longer, but
Yep.
It's certainly to the benefit of both the district and the inhabitants of the district.
okay, yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there,
I should have.
there,
I should have
there are
phrased that.
there are users that need the additional funding in order to be able to tie into the system.
Right.
And there, right now, there's a few that have applied and were accepted, and the additional money is coming, and all we're asking for really is that we're allowed to accept it.
Yeah. No, I
And,
understand. Yeah.
and going forward, I believe there's going to be additional money in the same concept that is going to happen next year. So we're going to try to encourage people to apply and see whether they can get some of this additional funding.
Mhm.
So, there may be more of this coming in the future, but right now, we're in this phase, we're getting what we're getting, and we're just asking the town to accept it for us.
Yeah, Josh.
All right, so Paul, while you're here, I thought I would ask, how's the construction going?
It's going well. I mean, it's a construction project, right? So things happen, and of course, in our current situation, more things happen, globally. The plant right now would have been up and running in February, except for the last thing we need is a UV light before we can send the effluent back into the ocean. And the company is in California. California shut down, so they weren't making UV lights. And so that got stopped. But the UV light, I think, is either on the way or it's here. So come the beginning of April, that's going to get installed, and the previous users of the Lincolnville Beach Sanitary Facility, which was, Lobster Pound and picnic area and the beach businesses down there, they'll be the first to be tied in. And then we'll fire the plant up, and they'll be going. And then starting April 1st, all of the laterals, the sewer laterals going north from 173 will be tied in. And we expect to be hooking people up, tying them in, adding them to the system by June. So, I mean, I'm sure you've been by there, right? You see it, it's in the ground, it's there, it's waiting for a UV light. So, once we get that, away we go. And of course, some construction in the spring, and we're gonna, we're hoping against hope to be out of everybody's way by the summer season. So.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions for Paul? I'm curious, Paul, we had initiated a conversation with you about what will become the former treatment facility site right down there at the waterfront, and wondering when we can perhaps move that conversation along.
Yeah, that's, we're, looking forward to that conversation. Actually, I'd like to, I have things that I'd love to see happen there. And, so yeah, and I don't know whether this is the right moment for that, but.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot, but just to sort of.
Yeah, and our board of trustees is aware of that, but right at the moment, we're just in this trying to get the thing done and on the board and not really worried about the decommissioning of the other plant and what has to happen, but tying into the outflow pipe and then once we settle down a little bit and get some users and quite frankly, in our biggest concern is to try to get cash flow. So once we get people hooked up and that established, then I think we'll go on to maybe the next thing, because really it's not critical that other building or facility goes away, right? It can sit there, but yeah, we'd like to see something going forward, but it's kind of, just we're volunteers just like you, and it's it's not on the top of our priority list at the moment. But yes, definitely interested in doing something that would be cool down there at the launch ramp.
Excellent. Fantastic. Any other questions for Paul? All right, Paul, I'm not seeing anyone jumping up and down. So if that is the case, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve the contract amendment with the State of Maine Department of Economic and Community Development, accepting any additional monies and extending the grant period to December 31st, 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
I do have a question before I vote. Did the
Sure.
verbiage change on that from accepting the additional $10,000 to any additional money?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. My vote is yes.
Okay. Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Paul, for popping in here and giving us both a impromptu update and information.
No, thank you all.
Thank you, Paul.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
And while Paul logs off, we have both Alan and Randall here. David, should we assume that we're going to have Alan address the board and perhaps Randall later? Or
If it's okay with the board, I'll just promote them both so we can have a slightly larger conversation, and then the right person can chime in at the right time.
fair enough. So for those watching at home, we have Alan Hinsey and Randall from LCI here to address the board. Welcome, Alan and Randall.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Unmute yourself there, Randall, somewhere. Yep, up there. Top, in your box up at the top. There you go. Got it.
I'll just talk to you.
All right, so thank you. Actually, we're both coming to you from the Tidewater LCI COVID bunker in Nobleboro. Randall's over here. I'm here. So we'll do some of that action for you. So thank you for having us. So what I'm gonna be doing is I can share screen, right? I have permission to do that. Okay. So I'm going to be doing that. I want to show some things that we're going to be talking about, in particular, kind of what we want, what our proposal is in general conceptual terms for this round of Connect Maine funding that's available, and how it affects Lincolnville and some other towns that we're considering. So I'm going to give some background information, show you some maps, things like that. Then Randall's going to talk about the strategies involved and kind of where the company's going and how they're viewing this as a larger strategy. So you're going to deal with me first, and I'll do one of those, and Randall will take over, okay? So first of all, just as a reminder to folks, The last July, the voters approved a $15 million bond for broadband in Maine, to expand broadband in Maine, and that falls under the authority of the Connect Maine Authority. So they are now ready to start using that money. So the first round of the Connect Maine grants are going to be coming out. The applications are open right now, and the applications for infrastructure grants will close on April 29th. So that first round is going to happen right now, and that's going to be $7.5 million. And they're going to do a second round later in the year, probably in July. They haven't set the exact date yet. Well, they'll do another $7.5 million. Now, just for, once again, context, last year, the total amount that they had to spend for the entire state was $750,000. So just in this first round, it's 10 times more. That's, the voters approved that. That's huge. That's huge. It just really is. It's a game changer, as we say. So there's that. So I just want to give you that frame of reference. The other thing that happened, of course, as you know, too, last fall, there was federal funds available for through the COVID Relief Act that was available to the state of Maine, and we were able to secure some of that for some towns in our areas. In fact, about $2.6 million that we used to build out about 100 miles of new fiber throughout Lincolnville, Hope, Appleton, and Bristol. So that, on top of all of the CARES, the Connect Maine money, that gave us another jump start. And you're going to hear kind of the strategy as we go forward is how we want to kind of leverage that, what we were able to do with that federal funds, with the state funds in the Connect Maine grants that are going to be available. All right, so I'm going to do a share screen here, and hopefully, what happened here? Share. There we go. Can you see me? See my map?
Yep.
Everybody got that? Yes?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Thanks. I never know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
All right. So just real quickly. So just to show you Appleton, Hope, and Lincolnville. And what I want to do is that I show you all three of those because we really approached those as a group when we were doing the CARES Act funding and build out for fiber in the fall. So, but what I want to do with that then, giving you that, is I'm going to focus in on Lincolnville. Whoops, a little bit too much right there, let's say. All right. And what I want to show you is kind of where we are with things. So I'm going to show you the existing fiber and then what was built with CARES money. So when you look at Lincolnville, and you see all those purple lines, the purple lines are where we have existing loop fiber. That is to say, we already had fiber on the pole, on those streets, and from previous Connect Maine grants, plus other bills that we've done and capital we've spent in Lincolnville over the course of the last several years. So that purple lines typically are where we have loop fiber. Most people along those routes can access it, not all of them. So we don't have enough fiber for everybody. So that's getting into the strategy about where we want some more of that Connect Maine funding for the town going forward. Randall will talk about that in a minute. The red lines, as you'll see, those are the new fiber lines that we built with the CARES money last fall. And then we did that in November and December, and we're now still finishing up all the installations from that. We're about 60% done with all of the fibers up, all the equipment's up, all that kind of stuff. All the central offices are working. The main splicing is done, and we're about 60% done with all of the actual individual installations to eligible student and teacher households. With that build, we went in front of about 325 eligible student and teacher households. We had about 250 actual eligible applicants that came in, applied for that. So it's about whatever that is, 75% take rate. And we're closing in on 60% of those are installed, up and running right now. We've given them 100 by 100. So they got 100 upload and 100 download in each of those homes right now. So that gives you a sense of where that is. There are a couple other things you'll see on there. There's a couple little green lines you can see. I think there's another little blue one over here. Those are a few little pieces that we have to finish up. The green, that is we haven't put fiber there yet. That's been, the engineers have got all the specs done on it. We're ready to put that up on pole. It may be done by now. I haven't updated the map in the last week. So that may be done. A couple of spots like that. But otherwise, with the CARES grant, that's pretty much all that fiber's in place. And ready to go. So that gives you that perspective. So what I wanted to show them too was what's left to do. Whoops, come back, Lincolnville. There you go. So let me just see if I can get that. So this is, I showed you what we did. So when we had our engineers say, okay, show me everything else, all the other roads that we consider to be not built yet, that is to say, aren't a road that we have already built out fiber. And these are some of those roads, the white lines. And that totals about 6.5 miles of additional road. And the question is, well, why didn't you get federal money to do those? Because in many of those cases, we couldn't justify find a student in time to justify it. We had a very limited time frame to come up with what we could get passed through and be approved on. So that was part of the issue. So those are some of the roads that are left to do. So once again, so you got the purple was existing, you got the red, which is built on the CARES money. It's like I say, some of the green also still ready to be built. And then finally, the whites are roads that are still don't have fiber on those roads right now. So we saw where we're at, what we built, what's existing. What I wanted to show next is I'm going to overlay some dots on this map to show you kind of where everybody's at relative to this fiber, relative to this fiber optic network that we have, and relative to, I think our goal for sure for the town is for it to become a fiber to the home, complete fiber to the home community. So I'm gonna see if I can do that without messing up too much. So first of all, let me show you what we're all addresses. Okay. My map to work right. There we go. Whoop. Take a little time. Hang on. It's trying. Bear with me. There we go. Sorry about that. So what you're seeing here is, and I'm going to give you a little spreadsheet so you'll be able to see this too. And I'll forward all this information to David to the KMZs for this. We're just kind of putting it all together as we're going along today with our engineer. So I'll get that to you and you can share it with folks, David. But what you're looking at here is about 1,725 individual addresses. And that comes from, we went to our database of all of our customer database and pulled out everybody we knew where those addresses are. And then we also took E911 database and merged that with our database too, so we can fill in some of the gaps. And there's still some gaps, we know that. Sometimes when we get the E911 and the first mapping of it, the first plotting of it all, some of those addresses don't play well nicely with Google Earth. So we have to go back and identify which ones those are and figure out where they are. Sometimes the zip codes are wrong, or there's a street name is typed differently, those kinds of things. So we have to do some fixing. But that's about 95% correct, I think, of everything that we think are what we consider to be where everybody is, all the addresses in Lincolnville that we want to bring fiber to, okay? So that gives us just a visual to help you see that. So right now, we have fiber at these locations. So I put on the green dots. I hope you can see that. That is about 604 customers in Lincolnville right now, out of those 1,700 addresses that are on there, that are fiber customers right now. So they're up and running. And once again, we're bringing on more and more every day with some of the CARES student and teacher homes that are being installed and activated. Plus we have a backlog of other applicants waiting to be connected as well. So that's—
Alan, could you just zoom in a little bit?
Sure.
So we just see a little more of that detail.
Yeah, well, I got to get back on it so I can show them. So there you go. That helps a little bit of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Randall's right. Let me take all the white dots off so you can just see the white dots. There we go. Well,
Quite a load on Google.
yeah, I got a lot of stuff on there. Yeah. Anyhow, that gives you zoomed in. I hope you can see a little bit better with that, how that works. So what we want to do then, obviously, what we want to figure is, well, what are the rest of these ones? The ones that are still white, that aren't green, who are they? Should they become targets for us in terms of customers and in terms of how we want to build out our network and maybe apply for grant money to reach those folks? So let me just see if I can do that. All right, so still thinking. I'm trying to take the white dots off. Hold on. There we go. All right, so who do we want to serve? Well, these purple dots, those represent all the customers that are out there that we have right now in your town that are phone only. That is to say, they're only a telephone customer. They don't have our DSL and they don't have our fiber. Okay, so presumably, I can't remember exactly offhand how many that is, but presumably at least half of them are using something for internet. Okay, they're getting access to the internet some way. Okay, but they're not getting it from us, so we know that much. So that's phone only. The other big one is the DSL customers. Those are the blue dots. So those are people in your community that are using our DSL internet and phone service from us. So you're starting to see those fill in. Here's where those other people are who aren't fiber customers yet, who haven't, but in many cases will be able to because they're on a fiber line in some cases. The next one that I'm going to show then is everyone that we're considering to be off net. These are folks that, depending on where they were, where the specific address is, they're just off the fiber line, but they're close to it. As you can see, most of those brown dots. So you're starting to get a sense of, once again, where all these people are who aren't fiber customers and how kind of where they are located to the fiber build that we've already done. The last one then is kind of everybody else, which is anybody who, whoops, sorry, wrong one. Everybody that we're considering to be on net, these are the red dots, who are not our customers. So there's quite a few of those. Between the brown and the red, all of those people are living in your community. They are not our customers at this time, and not that is to say they're not our fiber customers at this time. Once again, we presume that they are living in the real world, and my guess is most of them have some kind of internet. Maybe it's through a wireless provider, Red Zone perhaps, maybe their provider, or they may be using satellite, or they may be using HughesNet, those kinds of things. And many of them will be using their phone data minutes, their phone data programs, data to access the internet. So that gives you a sense of that. When you add all that together, remember we had 1,725 total addresses. There are about 1,056 of them that are not on fiber, not a fiber customer right now. So when we look at that in terms of a target for the town of Lincolnville to become a fiber to the home community, that's the target. Those are the addresses in part that are part of the target. Another thing I wanted to show you, of course, is, some of them are off net. If you look up here, so those people on the white line, well, we don't have fiber on that road yet, right there. So we can't get that target yet. Some down in this area, obviously still, we don't have fiber right there yet. So those are areas where obviously those have to happen. We think that there are about, of those 1,725 addresses, there are only about 30 actual addresses. I say this, I emphasize this because it's kind of impressive. I'm impressed. There are only about 30 actual addresses that can't have access to fiber. Now, we understand it's got to get from the pole to the house, and we've had a lot of discussions with the select board about that in the past. So that's clearly what our strategy is about. How do we get all of these folks connected and make it and get the funding we need as a company, that you need as a community, to really get that full connection all the way, not only on the roads, but from the pole to the house. So, so that gives you the lay of the land for that, and lets you see kind of where everybody's at. The last thing I'm going to show you real quick is just a quick spreadsheet, and I will just summarizes it kind of, if you will, and I'll once again send this to you. Once again, about 1,725 total addresses that we're working with. After we back out the ones who are existing fiber customers, there are a small group that is called out of our telephone exchange. If right on Route 1, just south, that one southern corner, there are about 35 addresses there that aren't part of our telephone exchange, but they're along. We have fiber along there as well. And then there are those other 30 that I say they're on that 6.65 miles of unbuilt fiber roads. When you do the math, that's about 1,056 total non-fiber subscribers that we'd love. That's our target. And then they're made up of DSL, phone only, and others who are non-Tidewater, non-Lincolnville customers. So having said that, that was a lot. And thank you for letting me get through all of that. What I'm going to do now is I can take questions, but I also going to turn over to Randall, because he's the one that wants to take this conversation to the next level and saying, here's what we propose to do. Here's our concept for moving forward, especially with this first round, the 7.5 million that's available for Connect Maine. So if that's okay, I'm going to turn it over to Randall. Okay. All right.
Okay, well, thank you for having us. What I want to talk about is we have a lot of fiber built throughout your community, but it's fiber and it's looped and it's ready to access. But we don't have the equipment to do all these customers in our central office or from the pole in. And what we've done in the past is, after we've worked on builds that we've done, is just kind of do it as we can afford to do it and have connect people up as they call in. And it's worked fine for several years because it was a slow trickle of people calling in. With COVID happening and the demand for better broadband, like Alan said, we have a backlog of people calling in. And so realistically, to build Lincolnville for us, cost-wise and company size, it's going to take several years to finish this job from the pole in and put the equipment in the office, from the standpoint of funding it and installing it. So the goal here is try to speed that up. And we've talked to people on the Connect Main board, and they're looking for ways to try to accelerate these builds. And so what we want to do is look at these territories in Appleton, Hope, Lincolnville, and Bristol, and utilize some of the CARES fiber that we've laid by going out and trying to get equipment to supplement these areas so we can do it faster. And so we know on average that for us to hook up a customer from the pole in is between $1,200 and $1,400. And we have a couple items there that our controller brought to us. 2019, I think it was $1,400 a customer. 2020, we got it down to $1,250, and that's just from the pole in. Every customer that we hook up, it takes either a port or part of a splitter count. And when we buy a blade in its active port, we can only serve 24 to 48 customers, all depending what type of blade you buy. And they're very expensive blades. And then you have to buy racks, and you have to buy power and adjust your central office to handle it, and splicing the fiber to it and all that inside the office. And then we do GPON in other places where we buy a more expensive blade that can handle more customers through a splitter. And so it's a lot of money if you start talking about 1,000 customers in just Lincolnville alone. And so our plan is to, and we've talked it over Connect Main because it's kind of a new concept, because a lot of people at face value drive down the road and see loops on the road, and they say, oh, they got fiber there, they can serve the customers. But as we talked last time, there's a backlog, and we're trying to figure out a way to address it. And it's not fiber to the home, it's fiber on the road. And if Lincolnville wants fiber to the home, we're looking for ways to supplement that bill to do this faster. So we're hoping to apply for a grant for Lincolnville or Appleton or Hope or all three, and same with Bristol, for the equipment, and equipment to a certain percentage of the town. It may not cover the full town. It might be 75% of the area. What we're trying to do is make it feasible to get the grant. And the grant's not going to be the big part of this money. A lot of it's going to be ours. And but we also have to meet a cost per homes passed to get the grant. And so we have to make it reasonable. And so we know that there's fiber looped in front of a lot of customers in Lincolnville, but we want to be able to have them access it as soon as they want to. And the only way we figure we can do that faster is to apply for this grant for equipment. And when I talk equipment, the equipment in the central office, splitter boxes on the road, and equipment from the pole in, which means splice closures, drop wires, ONTs, and equipment like that, just to get the customer up and going. So that's our plan, and we want to talk to Lincolnville about engaging with us on this. And obviously, we want to try to get into the first round to get the money as soon as possible. And what way I look at it, if it's a percentage of the towns that we can build, then we'll look at the rest of the percentage in the second round. And maybe some of these other builds, these other roads that need to be built in the second round, we have time to plan for them. And we're going to talk to Hope, and we're going to talk to Appleton, and we're going to talk to Bristol. And we're going to try to do as much as we can in this first round, but we have to move fast. And it'd be nice to have Lincolnville support on that. And if what happens, if you can't get that accomplished in time, we can always move to the second round, or we can look at it doing it a different way later. And regardless, we are planning on building Lincolnville. It's just a matter of time and cost and what we can afford to do. And so we're trying to find a way to do more faster. So that's our plan. And we have to make some quick decisions. I think the application goes in when, Alan?
It's due on April 29th.
We're matching the fund probably close to 75%. So if we can get more grant, we'd love to have it, but we're not sure we can.
Say that again, the percentage that you're looking.
We're looking to match, we whatever we can do, about 75% of the money, and the grant would be close to 25%. I'd love to get more, and if we can figure out a way to do it, we're going to ask for more, but we want to make sure our chances are good to get the grant. The other thing that we may run into is red zone. They kind of spread a big shadow on the areas that we're looking at, and they may say they're served already. If they do, we can't prove that they're not, then we may not be able to get a grant. What this does for us in Lincolnville is accelerate the process.
And just
we're
for
not ask-
and just for a clarification before I open it up to the board, the 1,250, that was just for equipment, or does that include, that's just the cost to get it from the pole to the home?
That's for you're talking about the $1,450 or $1,250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what our cost is to get to the customer from the pole in, just the pole in, not the equipment in the office.
Labor and equipment.
That's labor and equipment.
Okay. Okay.
But
Wonderful.
what our original plan was is to match it with labor cost, and as far as saying, okay, you give us the grant for the equipment, we'll put our labor in, and we'll try to get this built. But looking at it, the cost per homes passed would be too high, and we wouldn't have a chance of getting it that way. So we have to do it at a percentage basis, and it probably still will be some of our labor costs, but we're probably gonna have to put in more. I don't think we'll get all the equipment paid for with the grant.
Okay. So immediately, does the board have any questions for Alan or Randall on the Google Earth document that he has up? And if so, or if not, yeah, Jordan.
I was wondering if you had a map that showed legacy cable customers so that we could see the comparison of what percentage of legacy cable customers also have internet or don't have internet, just because we know that legacy cable service is ending in a few weeks.
We don't have a map right now but that's something we can get. One thing we do know is, just to give you, I knew that question would be coming up, obviously. And so they're about, and so both in Lincolnville and Hope, that's where our cable network is. There are about 316 total subscribers to those cable customers. And of those, all but 25 are located on a fiber access, where they would be able to make that conversion to a fiber product and take a live streaming product from us if they choose to. So, and we're working with, in Lincolnville, I think there are actually 19 that have received their letter saying, yep, we're making the conversion, that aren't on, that can't, we don't have fiber right there. So we're looking for solutions for those 19. But yeah, Jordan, I can get you that. I can get you an actual map if you'd like.
So any questions immediately on this map with regarding the presentation that these gentlemen are making immediately. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, just a minor point. And Alan Randall, this is just for information purposes on your map. I live on one of those roads, one of those white roads that you intend to fill in. And it's not a town road, it's a private road. So I don't know if you want it on that map. I'm just letting you know, it may be one of those gaps in the analysis that y'all were talking about.
All right, I appreciate that. I think we put it on there in case somebody wants it. We know it's there.
Okay, yeah, it's the I'm talking about the quarry road up on 52.
Okay.
North.
And just one of the things with for grant purposes, we can get grant money for private roads, for non-town roads that is available. Typically, we for us, it's all about making the case on the cost per homes passed. Obviously, if it's a private road and there are a few people down there, the cost per home to get fiber to it is much more expensive than on a main road.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But if we lump them together, we put them together in our cost work. That's how we try to do. We try to pull as many as we can in to drive the cost per home pass down, so we qualify for more points from Connect Maine. That's how we beat out the competition. Even though there's a lot more money, it's going to be highly competitive for these grants this time.
Sure. I was simply pointing that out because I was under the impression that all the white roads were public roads, town roads.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And just to clarify, because thank you, Mike. I had that question. You're not bound by being public roads. You're open to anywhere there are residences.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any more questions on the map? I'm just looking for, because the map will dominate our conversation. So if there's nothing else on the Google Earth image, Alan, you mentioned you had a spreadsheet you wanted to show us.
It was just that one. That's all it was.
Oh,
just
okay.
Giving that summary piece that really talked about when you look at all the dots on the map, it comes down to that 1,056. That's our target group that we'd like to get fiber to the home for.
Okay, great. Well, if
maybe not all at once, but that's the group we see as the makes up the total bucket, basically.
Okay. Well, if you want to cease screen sharing, we can go back to video chatting. Perfect. Okay. So questions from the board in general.
I just had a quick clarifying question. So you can build on a private road. You don't need to get written permission or anything from the homeowners to string fiber on the poles.
Yeah, we have to get permission, but if we have our poles on there already for copper or coax, where we can build on, we have a right of way at that point to add fiber to it.
Okay, thank you.
You have to get a legal easement, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions for Alan or Randall? Yeah, Jordan.
Well, I was hoping that we could maybe get a little more explanation on the ceasing of the legacy cable service. I think there was something in the FCC mentioned in the letter.
Let's finish the
just while we have you here.
Let's finish the conversation at hand before we expand it.
Okay.
To another topic. Okay. Any other question? Yeah, Kern.
Be interested to know at this point what your definition of pole to cable is. Pole to house. What is your definition? Is that inside the house or just hook up on the outside of the house and then it's the homeowner's baby from there? What's your definition?
Right now it's a pole to the side of the house or wherever the ONT goes. Sometimes it's on the inside, mostly it's on the outside. And what we've done in the past is put a 10-foot wire in with a jack that they can connect to into their router. And everything beyond that is interior billable as far as running more wire, because it's not your regular category 3 twisted pair. It would be more like a category 5 or 6 wire that needs to be run. And so that's, we kind of follow the guidelines of where the network interface is on the side of a house now with copper dial tone and DSL.
So it's in the house with the jack, and if somebody had a router, they could go to wherever that jack is and they could have internet.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the O&T box, that's like a little gray box that swings open.
Yeah, there are interior boxes, exterior boxes. The gray boxes look just a lot like your old dial tone network interface box, but inside it is a fiber mux that changes from optical to electronic to feed your copper wires in the house.
Yeah, thank you.
And it needs power.
Jordan.
Yeah, you guys had mentioned that with the overwhelming new interest for fiber, that you were having a hard time keeping up with the workforce to meet the demands. Do you see that getting worse or better with the new planned expansion of even more fiber being available? And maybe when do you see the two catching up, the amount of workers you have versus the demand and your ability to?
I see it being worse. I think the hope is with this grant money, we can try to get more contractors, but I think we talked about this last time. The contractors, you got to get qualified contractors. We used some contractors last December, and they put us further behind. It was not good, and I thought they were qualified, and our guys were cleaning up after them, and it created more work for our guys, more overtime. They spent a lot of time fixing stuff. They got some stuff accomplished, which was helpful, but nothing like our guys can do. And it's hard to find qualified people in that area in the state of Maine.
So as a follow-up to that, it seems like you guys getting this grant would actually lead to lessen your ability to service the customers that you have in Lincolnville. It doesn't sound like it would be a net positive, the way you just described it. Because if you're building out more and you already have trouble fulfilling that, and you've admitted that even bringing in extra help to help made more work, it seems like that perhaps that's taking on, a little bit more than you guys can handle at the moment.
Well, we're hoping to get more help doing it, but most of that's going to be service order provisioning rather than building fiber. We have the fiber in place now, so a lot of that goes away. So our people and the contractors we do have can focus just on doing the service order, and our CO people will just focus on doing the central office equipment because the fiber's in place. And that was huge. It was 100 miles of fiber. But no, it's definitely going to be a burden. There's no doubt about it. We're just trying to find a way to excel the build and take it on as we can and supplement it with some type of funding to get it done fast. And maybe that's not the answer for Lincolnville. Maybe we build Lincolnville as we can, and we just can afford to do and grow with our fiber that's sitting there now and take it on as customers call in.
I'm curious. You mentioned, wanting the town's support, and I guess I'm not clear exactly what you're asking us for. You mentioned that there's a deadline of April 29th, that you want the town's support. But what is it that you're looking for this body to do?
We're not looking for money. What we're looking for is letting Connect Maine know that you need broadband. And there are letters. Alan will have surveys done and stuff, in areas of need and things that you need right now in your town. So that's all we're looking for. We plan on building Lincolnville anyways. We're just looking to accelerate it.
Let me answer that question too. We'll always take your money, first of all. No, I'm kidding. We're not asking for money, but I will say though that in the scoring process, just to make sure everybody's clear, when Connect Main has a whole rubric for scoring all these grant applications that are coming in, and town participation, contribution, financial contributions from the town, it does have a point value. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. Some towns put in money, some don't, and that's okay. It just has effect on the points. The other part about the support, the other is that it's a community engagement part that Connect Main really wants to see. Frankly, the support is a positive vote from the select board. An endorsement from your broadband committee would be great. Obviously, we're going to want to get, and the way we've done successful grant applications before for Connect Main is we worked with the community to get lots of letters of support from businesses and homeowners, all those kinds of things that really need this kind of fiber optic broadband to really live their life fully in your community. So those are the kinds of things that Connect Main wants to see. That goes a long way, and that really helps with the point value for some of those scoring too. So, in answer, I think that's part of what we're really looking for, and we're looking for towns that want to do that, who can help us move that forward in a positive way.
Okay, thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
Other questions from other members of the board? Yeah, Mike.
Yes, just to follow up to what you just said, Alan. So it sounds as if the input from Lincolnville, those three things that Connect Main would like to see, it sounds interesting that Lincolnville do a year ago, which was a lot of a broadband committee doing a lot of legwork, data gathering, pre-sales, things like that. It seems to me I heard you say you've gone past that. Is that correct?
I guess, yeah, the formula has changed since last year for sure. Since COVID, everything has changed. Sales is not a problem. The demand is so high for fiber optic broadband. It's not about sales. It's about, as Jordan was talking about, it's about keeping up with getting it out there, finding that skilled workforce to do that. So that part we don't need, but it is more about really showing that town commitment to it. That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions from the board on this particular subject? Yeah, Josh.
So one thing I struggle with is the people that live down long dirt roads, and you showed on the map that you do plan on running fiber down a number of private roads, which I think is great. But I'm assuming that still leaves out a lot of people that live down long dirt roads who wouldn't be able to afford to run your fiber to their home. Is that, has your company thought about, when you say building out 100% of Lincolnville fiber to the home, have you considered like truly, I guess, subsidizing, paying to run fiber to every home and then just charging that flat? I think it's $250, right? The connection fee?
No, it's $250. I think it was 250 feet of fiber that will run for free, part of the install.
250 feet, right? Okay.
Right now, we charge a $100 installation fee for that first.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So your question goes beyond that, though.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
And it's very costly to run down some of these long dirt roads. Maybe that's where the town can help and help supplement that for the people that can't afford it. I think we charge a very reasonable rate to run beyond 250 feet for buried $2 a foot and aerial $1 a foot. But it's hard to get Connect Main to do more than a road that has one customer on it because the cost per homes passed goes up. And so it's hard to add that in for support from Connect Main. If you have 5 people down along their road, that costs to those homes, that helps the cost of those homes. But if it's one customer and they can't afford it, Connect Main has no provisions for that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a quantification for approximately, you said it's $2 a foot to run fiber?
To put buried service in, and if there's a conduit in place, well, people will pull our fiber through there at $2 a foot. And if it's aerial on poles, existing poles, we will run it at $1 a foot beyond the 250.
So if you live 1,000 foot from the main fiber line, the first 250 feet is included in your $100 installation fee. And then you would pay that 750 feet. If it's aerial, it'd be $750.
And so of the 6.5 miles that you indicated you have left to be done, can you quantify what of that would be outside the bounds of a public way?
I don't know. I don't have that available.
Yeah, not yet. That's the next step with that one is, and that gets to the question I think that you were asking earlier about, well, how do you get to those folks down into those roads? It really does. Like in one of the most recent Connect Main grants we did was in Bodenham. When we first designed it, we said, yep, it was a very rural area. And we said, yep, we could get to 195 homes there. And we said, yep, there are a bunch of them that are down these roads that we can't get to all of those. It won't fit in. It's going to drive the cost per home too high. We can't get the grant. So, but once we got boots on the ground and we have engineers out there, literally boots on the ground looking at all those, we were able to keep the cost down. So we finally got it up to 215 out of those. We went from 195 to 215. So there were some homes that had just 2 houses down there, but the run was relatively short and easy. So we could get, so the cost it was minimal. So we could get down there. Sometimes if there's 3 houses, we could say, yes, if there's 3 houses down there, we can do it. It's very individual. Once we get out there, we do everything we can then to try to figure out how do we chop that down and get as many as we can within that regular install cost.
Okay.
Yeah. But in answer to the white roads, we don't know that yet. That'll be the next step in doing the actual detailed site engineering.
Is that some information that you could say have to us before, say 5 to 6 days prior to our next select board meeting, like by next week?
I'm going to say no. Randall can say yes, but I'm going to say no only because
for the following week by the 6th or the 7th.
Well, let me answer. Our focus really now is really trying to figure out, get our arms around all of those other dots we already have, and kind of costing all of that out, both in terms of CO equipment, other equipment that we want to need from the pole to the house, those kinds of things, to build this next phase 1, round 1 Connect Main grant process. But I don't know that we can. I don't know. We're kind of, our engineers are dedicated to that right at this moment, but so I just don't want to promise something that I can't deliver. I don't know. That's Randall can talk.
No, we're kind of focusing on trying to get as many customers hooked up as we can. And one of the things I'll let you know that I tried to do it, and I had a large goal in mind, and that was to build all of the areas 100% with fiber. And so we looked at the numbers, and by the time we started looking around, the numbers were too high. And so we're looking at just building a percentage of the customers that have loops in front of them right now, not a total 100%. And some of them are from a Connect Main build we did earlier, and there's only 25% of those left that we can get funding for, because we did 75% for that road. And so we're looking at the numbers and trying to actually get a grant is our process. Because the grant might be 200,000 or 300,000, but this thing might cost us 1.7 million. This could be a very expensive thing to do, and that's why we looked at cost. Because after we talked with Jordan, on last call, we said, well, why don't we try to go all the way into the house, and we'll buy the router, we'll put the battery back up on, we'll do everything. And we thought that would be great to do for every customer, and try to get it supplemented for the equipment. We'd pay for the labor and charge our install cost or whatever, but the numbers were way too high to actually get the grant. That cost per homes passed wasn't competitive, and so we had to start reducing that cost to get it, so we could actually get some money from Connect Main. And that's the goal, because our goal is to build it all anyways. It's just we're trying to accelerate it.
Okay. So I heard that you have those sort of 3 actionable items that you're looking for from the board. And it could be just the fact that I've had a really long day, really long couple of days. There's a lot of information to take in all at once. And there's, I'm going to come across as sounding chastising, but there's a reason why we like to get this information in our packet that we receive on the Friday prior to the meeting, so that we can have time to sort of digest it and come up with hopefully reasonable and rational questions to ask, so that the board can have reasonable and actionable items to act on. So our next select board meeting is the 12th. And so that would be a deadline of April 7th. If I could, with the board's agreement and consent, have you gentlemen resend this information. If you could send image files of each layer that you showed us tonight so that we can review it, and any additional numbers that you will be running between now and the 7th, as well as specific action items from the board so that we can draft a motion, say, for a vote, if the board chooses to do so. That would be really helpful. And then by the 12th, this board could have some real concrete takeaways and potential.
Perfect. And yeah, I apologize that we couldn't get this to you sooner. We're literally putting it to as we go.
Sure.
And that schedule, even though it's a tight time frame to get all the Connect Main grant done, we're used to doing that. It'll be done by April 29th.
Okay.
And the time frame for April 7th works well too, because what we're doing in the next, right after this one, we're doing Hope, and we're doing Appleton and Bristol as well. So yeah, we're wanting to see who's wants to be involved, who thinks they can provide support to us for these grant applications. So the timing would be good, I think. So we'll get it to you as quick as we can.
Just to let you know, it's fine if Lincolnville isn't ready to do anything like this. We can move into the next Connect Main grant round, or
in July,
even further down the road. That's fine with us. We got a lot to do, and I know that Appleton and Hope are anxious to get the customers hooked up, and we definitely know Bristol is. And so if it feels like that's too soon of a timeline to do, I totally understand. And we're just trying to get as much done as we can as soon as possible. But it's, no pressure there. You decide what you want to do.
Sure. Anything else from the board that you'd like to see come back to us to expand on this conversation?
Anything else?
No. David, have I missed anything?
Well, I'm still alive. No, good thing I'm not mumbling. No, I think if the ask is clear, for lack of a better word, from LCI of the board, and we can get the information by the 7th, so you can have clear and concise motions and things to consider. And I'm certainly happy to work with Alan and Randall or anybody else at LCI to get that information from them to you in a timely fashion. I think, obviously what the ask is and what's required or requested of the town is going to be essential.
Okay. Now, Alan and Randall, while we have you here, and I can put you on the spot slightly, we do have further down in our agenda a request from Selectman Barnett Parker to have a conversation regarding the notice that went out about cable TV. And I don't necessarily want to put you on the spot if you are not the individuals to have this conversation with. But I would love to hear from you if you'd be willing to speak on that. And then secondarily, I would like consent from the board if it is interested in moving agenda item number 11 up to the next conversation that we have and take things slightly out of order to entertain Barnett Parker's question. So first, Alan and/or Randall.
Well, we can try to answer his questions, and I'll just tell you what we're trying to accomplish. We have a old cable TV RF plant in Lincolnville. It has a head end, and it's very costly to run. And cable TV, in the whole, the channels charge so much, and they've been going up constantly on there. And I'll be glad to have anybody come down and see what we have to pay for the channels. But this really isn't about that. What this is about is we have a delivery system in place that we put at the head end in Lincolnville. And when I first started 14 years ago, we had to replace that equipment, and it was several $100,000 to do so. And it's a company called Head in the Sky, and they deliver via satellite 90% of our channels. They have to meet some requirements, I guess, with their equipment. So they have thrown out that we have to come up with another several $100,000 to replace that equipment that we have there by a certain timeline. And we found out about it, a few months ago, and we're trying to figure out how we can delay it. And while we cut people over to our new streaming product that has all the same channels on it, but can do a whole heck of a lot more than the old set-top boxes that we have in people's houses. With our fiber and, a high percentage of Lincolnville, what we're trying to do is motivate customers to move to that fiber product to get the streaming service. And you need the bandwidth to do it. And we know there's a deadline coming. We're trying to see if they're going to get delayed or not. But it's a very, very expensive product for 300 and something customers, let alone a dying type of delivery that needs to be changed out anyways. So that's what we're faced with. And I believe we met our requirements through the FCC on letting people know that they have to move. And it's unfortunate. And, the plan was to move everybody anyways, but on our own timeline. But now we're being forced to move. And the other thing that's killing us, like I said, is the local channels, and mainly the local channels this last year have gone up immensely. And we have to increase our price to the customer. And so by getting rid of some of the overhead, the streaming delivery is a little cheaper for the customer. So we're trying to do the right thing and offer, I think, an incredible product on streaming compared to what that old coax delivery with these ancient set-top boxes were. It's a one-way system. We couldn't address the boxes. Very costly to maintain. Every time there was a power outage, we had truck rolls. The stuff we're doing now with streaming over fiber, we can fix from our office. It's intuitive for the customer, and it's a really neat product. And there's others out there. When somebody has fiber, there's many to choose from. But what we offer with ours is local access.
Okay. Can I get a general nodding from the board that will take agenda item 11 out of order?
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we appreciate you sticking around to have this conversation. So Selectman Barnett Parker, you broached the subject earlier.
Yeah, I just I got a lot of feedback from the community, and I just wanted to just express some of my concerns over it. Normally, cable TV would not be a priority of mine. I haven't had it in a long time. I love my internet, and I use that. But there is a certain segment of our community that is elderly, and a lot of them are on fixed incomes. and especially during a time right now in a pandemic where we can't have public town meetings, and really the only access that they have to public and local government is through local cable access, because a lot of these people don't know how to work the internet is the other thing. It just worries me that we're cutting them off from something like that. And it also, on top of that, worries me that an older population with a limited income and almost no working knowledge of the internet, how can we make it so that they would even have the fiber to subscribe to the new service, especially knowing that in a lot of these areas, the installation cost is above $1,000 to get it to the house. So I would be remiss if I didn't convey that. It was a message that quite a few people had contacted me about, and I can really see how it would be problematic. So I guess that's where I would start.
No, I totally understand that, and I feel bad about it. We're trying to create a product though that we were hoping is better, and we have elderly people. We're in multi-dwellings that older people will has that product, and they've adjusted. Our people will talk them through it. But I understand what you're saying, and I tell you, it's hard to move from a guide and everything that you used to a different one. And it took me a while. I had both of them in my house, and it took me a while to transition. Our CEO, I'm trying to get her to move over to the streaming product. I totally get it. Our problem is that it's not cost effective at all to try to keep that going. If there's a way around it, and we can find a way to keep coax customers, I will work with them. But right now, we're faced with such an expense for the few customers that we're talking about. We can't really justify doing that. But like I said, if there's a way around it, we have our technical people working on it right now, and it may be a different delivery other than hits. And it may be a streaming delivery and changed over to a box that looks a lot like a cable TV box. And we're looking at a bunch of different ways of doing it. But
Josh, I saw your hand up first.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is the cost difference between a basic cable package right now with your company through coax and a basic streaming package with the same channels plus the cost of fiber? The monthly cost difference.
not sure. I don't have that really available to me. Do you, Alan?
John, I mean that the actual, I don't have it either, the exact price. The actual cable cost compared to the streaming product cost is almost identical, and the channel lineup is about the same. And it's a little bit cheaper. It also has a lot more features. The one thing that is different, of course, is that if folks move over from DSL to fiber as a way to get this streaming product, then actually that's a cheaper, there's a monthly savings typically there as well with that conversion. So
if they go for a lesser price, they go from a 10 meg product to a 50 meg product.
But when they have cable, a basic cable service, does that depend on DSL or is that just coax?
It's just coax. Do we have the numbers on how many just coax customers we have?
I don't. Right here, I don't know.
You were going to send that to us later, Alan, because I'd requested that on the map.
Map, right?
Okay, because yeah, that's what I'm curious about. People who don't have DSL, they don't have fiber, they just use coax for basic cable, and their cost per month compared to a streaming package, but plus fiber.
Mike,
get you that information.
Mike, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, I just don't want to turn this into a negotiation session or anything like that. However, it seems as if previously, LCI, you were asking the town, you were making an ask of the town, and it seems to me that with your decision not to continue cable, as Jordan points out, there's more than a few people in Lincolnville who will be feeling some ill effects of that. And I'm wondering if your ask could include some sort of attempt on your part to work with those people, those customers, to help them. I don't know, learn how to use the internet or whatever it is that they may need to do to get back and enjoying TV again, I guess.
Right, I know that talking to our controller who is in kind of heading this project, she said every one of the customers that don't have access to fiber at this point, we're trying to work with and resolve that issue.
19 in Lincolnville.
And you know, I have no problem creating an educational class or something maybe in the Lincolnville office, or streaming, or Zoom call, whatever it has to be nowadays, to educate people on not only how to use the internet, but how to use our streaming TV product. We've got some pretty smart young people here that can really be helpful in that matter. And that doesn't have to be negotiated. That's
well, yeah. I'm sorry. Something like that is what I was hoping to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
And the second thing, and I don't know if this is germane anymore, but it has to do with the now lapsed cable contract that the town had with LCI. I don't know where that puts us, or does it put us anywhere? David, maybe I should be asking you this question. Does that put the town in a slightly different position given the decision of LCI to discontinue cable TV?
We the town don't have no longer have an active agreement with LCI to provide cable service.
I know that, right? Yeah.
Expired a couple of years ago now.
Mm.
And that was a non-exclusive. So if somebody else wants to come in and offer cable service, they're welcome to. I think we learned a dozen or so years ago that when we did the last cable franchise agreement, that subscribership was diminishing, shall we say? Yeah. And so we're in a challenging spot. I think part of the real challenge, or the biggest ones I see, whether or not I'll be upfront, I have a landline from Lincolnville Communications or Lincolnville Telephone because cell phone service doesn't work well at my house. I have fiber connection with LCI because we like the internet at my house. And I have cable TV subscription through Lincolnville Communications. And actually made the call once the letter came in to switch over to the open view. The challenge as I see it is, I'll use my house as an example. I don't care whether my TV comes over fiber optic or coax. I don't even know what's out there besides the connection in the house. But I do like my television and I don't want it to go away. For people that don't have the opportunity to connect somehow, those are the folks I think we're all worried about. And in today's communication age, to lose a bit of communication it will be very challenging for people. And if there's some way to ease that burden of whether it comes in on fiber or coax, I think we all ought to be exploring that. And that leads me to a question about the Connect Me grant that you folks are looking to pursue and maybe have the Lincolnville board support. Would that grant help people to connect to the streaming service TV wise in terms of lowering their cost or making it go away?
I'm not sure what you're asking as far as installation or
Well, you talked about getting applying for a Connect Me grant earlier to assist in getting fiber to the home.
Yeah.
So if the town was supportive of that grant effort, would that cost also assist people that currently have cable only or coax in lowering their cost to give them a streaming product? I'm not sure if I'm asking that question appropriately or.
I believe streaming product does lower the cost. We do have a lot of customers that are, in front of our cable or our cables in front of them, that are fiber, excuse me, that's in front of them that Connect Main will help turn them on, if that's what you're saying. And the 20-something customers, 25 that don't have our cable or fiber in front of them, we are trying to work with right now to figure out where they are and find a way to connect them up, and that, or at least get fiber to them. And it may not be the exact thing they want, but we'll be able to offer that streaming product to them once that fiber is connected to them. The other thing is that we had to send that letter out because we knew that HITS was going to shut us off unless we spent several $100,000, close to 500, last I heard, to hook up to change over these 300 customers. And if, like I said, we're also looking, we had to send letters out to notify people. So if this happens, we let them know. What we're doing now is trying to find the workarounds to take care of that, whether it's a streaming delivery that we can break out into something that looks like a coax delivery, or even something that can convert and go back on coax for some of these customers that don't understand how to use the streaming product. We're looking at multiple ways of trying to deal with it, but the big thing is it's HITS is driving us into doing this. I can't justify to the board of directors, even though I am one of them, that we got to spend $500,000 to nurse a old coax plant that's falling apart anyways, when we should be putting the money into putting fiber to people's house.
I guess my question really in the nutshell is, does the Connect Me grant opportunity, is that one of the, for lack of better words, potential workarounds the disappearing of the coax?
It is, in a sense that there's a lot of people that will be connecting up that are on coax right now that are not on our fiber. And the second round, we'll probably try to build out as many of those white roads as we can if Lincolnville agrees to do that with us.
Yeah, Jordan.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for staying extra to talk with us about this. I really appreciate it. And I think, I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I know my thoughts were more geared towards a temporary solution, not keeping on the legacy cable service forever. But I mean, I'm sure you would agree. You guys set out a letter and gave everybody about 8 weeks lead time, and you told us yourselves that because of the demand, it usually takes 6 to 8 weeks to get a house connected. So by its nature, really these people don't have enough time to even meet the demand. So again, I don't know if there was any way you guys could extend it for a few months, or at least until the worst of the pandemic closes and people can start meeting, and you guys can actually, also meet the demand of these installations. And not that you have to give an answer. And I know it's a private business, and trust me, as a business owner, the last hole in my profits or my income. So I definitely appreciate that. But like I said, if there's any way that this can be temporarily put off for a few months even, to allow a reasonable amount of time for people to make the switch, because even if everybody had the money and wanted to switch, you know that they would not be able to do that in 2 months' time.
Let's put it this way.
So that's yeah.
I'll do everything I can to help with that. As a matter of fact, if you want to work with me personally and we can identify some of these people, we'll try to do that. And right now in the background, we're working with hits and we're trying to delay that. So we are trying to do that. And there's a good chance it will happen. They can't, we felt just as bad as you do right now about this burden being put on us to do all of a sudden and try to find several $100,000 to put into that head end up in Lincolnville. And it just, it's convenient to have a delivery like them available to us, but it also is a burden when it comes to the amount of equipment that you have to purchase to receive their signal with all those channels. We do receive some of the channels ourselves beyond hits, the locals, and we can. Maybe I'll talk to my head end guy, and if there is some type of package we can deliver that's outside of hits, like the locals and Nesson and Comcast Sports Boston, all those we receive separately. We don't receive through hits. So there are channels available, and the locals might be the big thing they're looking for, along with your local. We might be able to still deliver that on coax and have that available to them. So there's things we can do, and I'm willing to work with you on that. And I'm wide open on it. Whatever we can do to let you know what we're doing, nothing to hide. This is what it is, and of course I want to try to help wherever we can. But we did have to let people know in case this happened to us. It could go away. But we're trying to delay it, and maybe, talking to you, just thinking there are channels we are receiving separately. And I'll talk to my guy that deals with the head end, and I'll see if we can create a package. And of course, it's not only just technical, the channels put a burden on us too with the contracts. And they say, you can't use these channels without having these channels on, or I got to be next to this channel. They dictate it. They own us on this. It's not a moneymaker for us at all. But let's see what we can do.
On that note, I have a question because the town uses the open access channel to stream this meeting, for example, and that would change with this change in service. And so it will be important for the town to know what our other options are for our Freedom of Access Act compliance moving forward, for sure. So it sounds like just based on our conversation, gentlemen, that both our previous conversation and this one, there's a number of things that you're going to follow up with us on and have that packet of information along with your specific asks and any other follow-up data that was requested here tonight. So the board can review it and we can have a conversation about taking some action at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
And we really appreciate you taking the extra time to stay and have this conversation. Is there anything you're unclear with us about in terms of what we're asking for from you?
No, I think I understand what you're asking for April 7th is relative to the Connect Main ask that we're making of the town.
Yep.
The cable TV thing is a separate item. I'm just going to say that.
Yep.
But they may be on the same time schedule. If you want them both on the 7th, that's fine. But they're not necessarily linked and contingent. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
From our point of view. They might, maybe they can work out that way. I don't know. So, but we can get the mapping out too on where the legacy cable folks are right now. So that's something we can do right away, and you can start seeing that, and we can start thinking about that.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we will set you free, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else on the topic of the cable TV notice? Anything else on the Connect Me? Yeah, Mike.
Mike, you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, just to follow up with real quick with David. I wasn't clear on your response as far as the cable TV agreement that's lapsed. The town doesn't have to worry because of that document. Is that correct with what's going down now? Is that what you were saying? I assume that's what you were saying. It's lapsed, it's done.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do not currently have an agreement with anyone
Right, I know.
that requires them to provide cable service in town. I don't know, as I wouldn't say we don't have to worry about any responsibilities, but we do have citizens in town that obviously would like to have cable TV.
Of course.
Myself included. Maybe not
Yeah,
cable.
sure.
Some sort of TV service at my home, cable or otherwise.
Yeah, okay. Good enough. Thank you.
Okay. Moving along then, we have a lot of language in front of us regarding the consideration of adding domestic partner insurance coverage. The Wage and Personnel Policy Board recommended we adopt this. The general consensus from the board was that this is something that we intended to move forward on, and so as such, I will entertain a first motion.
I move that effective April 1st, 2021, the town of Lincolnville, Maine amends its personnel benefits policy to allow any employee who is eligible to enroll in the employer benefits the option of enrolling a domestic partner. And I'm going to continue this, correct? Any employee who wishes to add a domestic partner will be advised of the requirements set forth in the domestic partner affidavit to add said partner. Furthermore, said employee has been advised that there could be tax implications for adding a domestic partner. The domestic partner of an employee shall be a life partner of either the same sex or opposite sex of the employee, not legally married or separated to either the employee or anyone else, at least 18 years of age and mentally competent to competent to consent to contract, are each other's domestic partners and intend to remain so indefinitely, have been each other's domestic partner for at least 12 months prior to the date of the signed affidavit, are not related by blood to a degree of closeness that would prohibit marriage in the state of Maine, are jointly responsible for each other's common welfare, share financial obligations, and share their primary address. Am I supposed to continue here?
Second.
So moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Just a point of, I don't know, propriety. Does it matter, David, that Mike used address as opposed to residence?
Oops.
Sorry, I thought I heard resident, but somebody should make sure. Yeah, it would matter because they were very clear that the language had to be adopted that they sent.
Would you care to amend that motion?
If I could amend it by just saying, I meant to say, so what did I meant to say? Address or residence?
Residence.
I meant to say residence. That's how I would amend my motion.
Okay.
I'll resecond that.
Okay. Is that sufficient, David, for legal purposes?
That will suffice.
Excellent. So we have an amended motion from Selectman Ray and an amended second from Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson.
Yes.
Selectman Ray.
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you. And we have a second motion I will entertain.
I move that the town administrator be authorized and instructed to send a letter to Lincolnville's field service representative with the Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust indicating that the town of Lincolnville wishes to add domestic partner coverage.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you. And there is a third and final motion.
I move that the board adopt the Wage and Personnel Policy Board recommendation that any employee wishing to be eligible for domestic partner insurance coverage be registered as a domestic partner with the state of Maine.
Second.
Second.
Woo. Moved by Selectman Late. Who wants the second? Because I feel like it was a jinx across the board. Selectman Ray, did you
Sure.
second?
Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Great. Seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you. And is there anything else on this agenda item? David, we're good?
Accomplished.
Great. All right, moving along, we have a draft broadband committee charge in front of us. Mike, Selectman Ray, would you
That's
care to talk to the board about the charge that you drafted with David?
Yes. Yeah, David and I got together and we after reaching out and soliciting comments from members here and members of the former broadband committee, looking at the 4 guidelines that the board adopted by consensus for Midcoast Coalition, and previous suggested draft language that came before this board, we came up with this. And it's rather, I don't know how you'd characterize it, but we tried to include everybody's thoughts, as it were.
Okay, thoughts or input from the board? Yeah, Kern.
The only thing that I just have for a question, and maybe it's just being too picky, but would it be better if we had the term served or the word served in under the charge? It says document what areas of town are currently served. What do we mean by served? Does it mean fiber goes by the end of the driveway? Does it mean it goes down the road? Does it mean it's attached to the house? I know I've been pretty vocal to LCI about a lot of our taxpayers or people who live in our town not being able to afford to get it in the house. So I think, and I think we've built on that. So I wonder if we should identify that a little different so that we know whether it's attached to the house
No.
or not. So that, and if it's defined that way, I wonder if that takes care of underserved or not served at all. If that just, if you know what I'm saying? If it's not attached to the house, ready with a plug for somebody to plug into, in my mind, they're underserved.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. And you are talking about number 4 here.
3. Well, it might be 3 and 4, Mike. No, number 3, because that's it's
okay, number 3.
Number 3 under the charge.
Yeah, okay, number 3 on the chart. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I mean that yeah, of course that makes sense. And yeah, I agree with you. However, I basically cut and pasted that from the last draft, when the last draft, the terms unserved, underserved were technical terms by the FCC, whether how the people had access to 25 and or 3, 25.3. And now we're kind of using it differently.
Well, maybe,
and that's cool.
Maybe they have an implied definition, and we and we don't. It just
Yeah,
seems,
yeah.
to me, it just seems too generic. But hey, maybe I'm being too picky too. I don't
No,
know.
I don't think so. I think we can use that word served however we want it to, mean. Yeah, yeah. Sure.
Jordan, did you have a thought on that same subject?
Yeah, actually, and I'm so glad, Kern, you brought that up because I think that there's a simple way to solve that, and it can align us with what we've already agreed upon our guiding principles. And this is that if we just put in a line that clearly says that in our purpose, it is assessing and fiber, a service in the home, and that we don't even mess around with underserved or served, because our goal is to provide access, which means having that availability inside of your home. I think if we predefine that in the purpose, it can alleviate the need to change anything down below. And you just were spot on with that. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah. Well, actually, for clarity purposes, it already is predefined in the purpose in the first sentence. It says that our goal is by means of fiber to home connection. So I think that's pretty much well laid out. So what's served is what serves that fiber to home purpose.
Oh, I see.
I think we could go that way rather than an FCC type of definition.
Well, for charge number 4, could we just parse it out a little bit more, and rather saying explore available options to say define the character of connectivity within our town as being, fiber at the street, fiber, so that we have those actual breakdowns of, we have cable, we have DSL, we have fiber going past the home, but someone chooses not to, or we have fiber to the home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
And then we just have that absolute definition of
Sure.
what our town looks like and the connections therein.
So identify the types of connectivity that we have.
That's
number
great.
4, basically.
Yeah. Perfect.
That makes sense.
And and so that was one of the only charge that didn't have a sort of a deadline, a deliverable deadline, which I really appreciated seeing, sort of 9 weeks after, 8 weeks after. And I'm just wondering if you would feel comfortable assigning a deadline for
Sure,
that.
why not? Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because it's data that we should have and know that we're going to have at a certain time. I agree. Yeah. So, but as you can see lately, I didn't play loose with the numbers of suggested timelines, but I don't really know, so that's why there's the tilde in front. It's approximately 9 weeks. And so all I can say is approximately whatever you want, 6 weeks, approximately 9 weeks for identifying the types of connectivity.
Sure. Why don't we do that? I mean, it seems like there's the data out there that we can make good headway. So why don't we do that?
Okay.
And then I was looking for a little bit more clarity on number 7. I love the coordinate education and outreach regarding broadband expansion, but I'm curious to hear what the play a key role in communicating with any and all interested town citizens on broadband expansion progress, and ultimately any Board of Selectmen recommendations as to broadband expansion. That's a whole lot of vague stuff in there, and I don't.
It's vague and a run-on sentence. I mean, it's a
whole lot going on.
Yeah. It's a 2-bagger. Yeah.
I would prefer that say something like play a key role in communicating the broadband goals of the Board of Selectmen. Keep it very simple.
Coordinating with the Board of Selectmen for additional opportunities or something like that. Mm-hmm. To make it, I mean, it seems like the intent of it is to make it performative and have the ability to be evolved, but the way it is now, it's pretty messy. So I'd rather see the broadband committee play a key role in creating educational opportunities and coordinating with the Board of Selectmen to, look into future opportunities or something to that effect.
Well, I see David, he's either taking a nap, or writing this down.
He's furiously
verbatim.
scratching notes.
Oh,
So I'm gonna kind of count on him to capture some of this, because, yeah.
I'll say for myself, what's most important is that, and maybe this is just not the right, number 7 is not the charge that I'm looking for, but I want there to be a charge that says, basically, if we decide to go a certain path and we need to knock on doors to either, to educate the community or like get pre-subscriptions for something, just something that covers that. So if we need the broadband committee to go out and knock on doors, basically it's part of this charge. If the Board of Selectmen need that to happen.
Right. Well, I mean, I was kind of thinking about something like a door-to-door canvassing if necessary, as falling under outreach. So. Yeah.
But wouldn't that fall under coordinating with the Board of Selectmen to, develop or enhance future opportunities for communication with the community?
I would say it would.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in essence, it's really just that the board be a liaison to the community for the select. I mean, that's one of the big
The committee, you
main.
mean?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. That's what I read number 7 as well. If that's not speak turn.
Any other additions, subtractions, amendments that jump out at anyone? David, are you clear as mud with the amendments that have been put forth here this evening?
I think in between the recording, the notes I scribbled, and Melissa's fine work at taking minutes, we can summarize that into 3 lines or less, and everybody will be good and have the flexibility needed and be ready to go. Yep.
Okay, so having said that, does the board feel comfortable moving on this?
I move that the board approve and sign the broadband committee charge as presented.
Second.
What do we want to say?
With those
As
amendments.
As amended, sorry, I'm not gonna, nope.
As amended. Thank you.
Sorry, would
I
you
move- Yep.
you make the motion?
Thank you. I move that the board approve and sign the amended broadband committee charge.
Second.
Okay, moved by Selectman Barnett Parker, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing anything. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all, and thank you for the footwork that went into this to be able to have an excellent discussion about it. All right, we already tackled number 11, and so we will skip ahead to 12, reviewing our draft town meeting warrant. Is there anything that jumps out at anyone as needing to change?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then next time we will have a finalized warrant to approve.
Cool. Yeah, great.
Fabulous. Thank you all. And then moving rapidly along, Selectman Barnett Parker had brought up his interest in having an active comprehensive plan committee, which brought up the conversation regarding, as you can see within this draft press release, the ample amount of opportunities for volunteerism here within the community. So just looking for any input on this press release, changes, additions, or if that's something that we can give David the thumbs up on to start spreading far and wide.
Well, yeah, I'm a thumbs up as well. However, you might want to, your first sentence, you might want to rejigger a couple of those words there, where it says on the second line, by serving one on the towns. I think you mean to say serving on one of the towns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Any other changes or alterations?
Looks good.
Cool. All right, we'll look for it in our local press. Any questions for the board on this, David? Or are you good to go?
Oh, I think I'm good if you're ready.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you need a motion, or are we good with the thumbs up?
I think a thumbs up. It doesn't bind you to anything, so.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you know.
All right, moving along. Selectman Late, do you have an update for us?
Got nothing. No. We're gonna.
Selectman Garrison, do you have an update for us?
Well, the Midcoast Internet Coalition hasn't had a meeting since our last select board meeting, but we've had a lot of there's been a lot of activity since then, because there's a lot of sort of smaller groups in the coalition working. Jordan and I were both on phone calls with Senator Collins's staff, as well as Senator King's staff, as well as Peggy Schaefer, the executive director of Connect Maine. Just basically sharing, not just us, but also with Deborah Hall and a number of other people from the coalition, just describing what the coalition is trying to accomplish in our community, and just asking clarifying questions about Connect Maine's grant process. One thing we did learn, according to Peggy Schaefer, is that they will not fund an overbuild. That if you want to overbuild in a served area, they will not fund that. And Alan mentioned tonight that if an incumbent says they plan on expanding into an unserved area, that also disqualifies a Connect Maine grant. So even for LCI, as Alan said, if Red Zone says that they plan on expanding into an unserved area, that nixes it. That's just one good thing to know. And there's just a lot of work sort of continuing on furthering the website. So there is a website up. It's still kind of in draft form, but there's a lot of great information there. And they're looking to put together the entity sooner than later, because as of right now, the Midcoast Internet Coalition is simply a group of towns meeting, but there's no actual entity that can apply for grants or receive funds. And that'll all come before the board before that's finalized, but work is continuing.
Does that change the direction of the coalition, given that I think in your last minutes it had spoken about like overbuilding was one of the intentions?
Yeah, it doesn't change the intention. It simply means that Connect Maine grants in areas that are served wouldn't be applicable. But I did ask Peggy Schaefer, I asked, can the coalition apply for grants specifically to build in unserved areas where the incumbent is not planning to expand? And she said, yes, you can phase, you can do your build in phases. But the challenging thing about that is, I mean, I don't know any other town really besides Lincolnville, but in so many of the towns in the coalition, there already are incumbents. And as long as the incumbent says, yeah, we plan on expanding, but it'll take us 5 years. My understanding is they just have to say that, and then you can't get that grant. So even though it's an unserved area, the incumbent can simply say, we plan on getting to it at some point. But they're, yeah, so So there's that. There's also the money that is coming to towns as well as counties from the latest American Rescue Act. So lots of possibilities of jump starting the funding for the coalition.
Okay, great. Selectman Ray, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, the woodshed thing, that season of distribution just ended. And, we participated in it. They distributed, let's see, their numbers. Around 150 cores of wood this year, this heating season, which they estimate to be around a little over $40,000 in fuel assistance. They figured they gave around $29,000 to local loggers, because that's how they buy their wood. And here in Lincolnville, we served 17 clients, distributed 4 cords of wood. And it went well. The only thing different that might happen next year, if we decide to participate in this again, is that they'll probably fill up the shed sooner. We didn't get filled up till end of December this year. Now they're looking at like getting it in the depots by summer's end.
Wow, great.
And so also another thing, I don't know if we need to consider this or not, is that security is becoming more of an issue with some of these depots. And people not going through the regular, the channels of calling ahead for wood, but actually it's going to stop by and grabbing some. I don't know where that puts the town. We may want to put a camera up or a chain link fence or something like that. But other than that, it was a good year. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for that update.
Mhm.
Yeah, Kern.
Mike, the conversation we had earlier, I think it would be really cool to mention that as well. The wood splitter that came on board, and
Oh yeah, that was a cool thing. Yeah. The New York Times did a big article on last month or so, I guess, on wood banks in Maine.
Whoa.
And it's a big deal. It's on the web someplace, and it's a good read actually. But they interviewed, in addition to other wood banks in Maine, Waldo County Woodshed, Bob McGregor, and they had a lot of pictures and whatnot. And anyway, so Oregon, the company that makes splitters and bars, chains, felling wedges, you name it, they out in the West Coast, they saw the article, they called up and said, hey, what do you need? And they donated a 30-ton splitter, brand new. I got to use it this weekend. It's a very cool machine. And a bunch of safety gear, chaps and things like that. So yeah.
Super cool.
That is amazing.
It's a 30-ton splitter. Those are nice. Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't stop.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. And thanks, Kern, for poking for that added little bit of information. That's fantastic. Move even bigger logs now.
Oh yeah.
Selectman Barnett Parker, do you have an update for us?
I think Josh covered just about everything with the broadband coalition, and I just from what I garnered from the meetings, the several meetings that I was at, it really, if anything, I think it emboldens our mission in the coalition and the importance of Lincolnville being a part of it, because it really, I just have seen that if we're going to make this happen, these towns really need to kind of band together and use our collective power to try and make this happen. So I don't have anything other than that, but it's just, I think you all know Deb Hall is force, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be on that ship cruising along.
Great. Thank you.
And I just want to add one more thing, that as a coalition, as a group of towns, when we apply for grants, it just makes us, it gives whoever gives us the grant, it makes them look good by giving a grant to 9 towns versus 1 town. So there's that added bonus.
Okay, thank you. And I have nothing to report. So thank you all for those updates. We do have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign.
I
I move.
treasurers and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Does the board have any other business that it wishes to attend to tonight?
No.
I will entertain a final motion then.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Moved by Selectman Barnett Parker, seconded by Selectman Ray. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what is your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all very much for your time and thoughts and consideration. Have a beautiful spring.
It is
Have a
spring.
good night, everybody.
Two.